Well, good evening, my friends, and welcome back to another episode from yours truly, the Cumberland Outdoorsman. In this video, we're going to be testing 3 vintage semi-automatic 22 rifles using some modern 22 semi-automatic ammunition. This is Eley's semi-auto 22 long rifle Benchrest Outlaw. This has a 42 grain round nose bullet. Very good looking round. Let me open this box here and I'll show you. There you can see they're all individually packaged. There's the round. It has a nice waxy lube on the bullet, so very consistent lubrication and very consistent looking rounds. Each round looks exactly like the next one, so it should be very accurate ammunition. And I've been rather impressed with the performance of this ammo in some of the rifles that I've tested it in. The first rifle we're going to test will be the Remington Model 552 Speedmaster. It's topped with a 4-power scope. We're going to be shooting 5 rounds at 50 yards at these little targets that I've got here. I'll be pinning these up. These are 1.5-inch rifle dots, and we're going to see if we can keep them all clustered within that orange disc with each rifle. Secondly, we got the Marlin Model 60. This one here is also topped with a Bushnell 6-power banner scope. A little bit more magnification, not much, but pretty evenly matched. That's an old vintage 22. And then finally we've got a really old rifle here. This is a Winchester Model 77. I've featured all these guns in videos in the past, but I wanted to bring them out here and try them out with this ammunition to see what kind of groups that each one can achieve at a distance of 50 yards. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get the target pinned up and then we'll get started. The first 5 shots are going to be just making sure the gun is centered up and sighted in, and also that the barrel's let it in. And then I'll be shooting 2 targets. So we're going to be trying each rifle with this Eley Benchrest semi-auto ammunition. So let's do a little shooting. Okay, the first rifle we're going to test with this ammunition is the Remington Model 552 Speedmaster at 50 yards. And we're going to be shooting at the top target on the right, in the right-hand row. So here we go. Alright, that's 5 shots at 50 yards. Okay, the next rifle we're going to be testing will be the Marlin Model 60. We're going to be shooting at the middle target on the right-hand row. And I've already sent a few rounds downrange trying to get this gun zeroed in. As you can see, it's got 3 rounds there clustered real tightly at the bottom of that target, and then one a little bit to the left at almost 9 o'clock there. But anyway, let's see what this little rifle will do. I moved it up a few clicks and to the right. Anyway, let's shoot 5 rounds into that target and see where they end up here with this little Marlin Model 60. Once again, the target in the middle on the right-hand row. Here we go. Well, I think they're all in the orange there. clustered around the bullseye. We're going to try that again here in a little while. But before we do that, I want to try out the Winchester Model 77. Get 5 rounds loaded up here real quick. In the right-hand row on the bottom target, we're going to be aiming for that one. I think I got it pretty close, pretty well centered. But anyway, here we go. Winchester Model 77. Alright, that looks pretty good. We'll check this target and then I'll pin up another one. Okay, my friends, I've got another target tacked up down there at 50 yards, and we're going to test all 3 rifles again. I think they're starting to get leaded in, and I got them pretty well centered up. By the way, please excuse the background noise. That's one of my neighbors through the woods here. He's using a leaf blower for some reason. I don't know. It's not fall yet, but either way. Okay, first of all, we're going to be shooting at the top target with the Remington 552. Okay, that's 5 shots. Next up is the Marlin Model 60. We'll be shooting at the middle target. Here we go. All right, that's 5 shots with the Marlin Model 60. Now lastly, we'll be shooting the Winchester Model 77 at 50 yards. And this will be, once again, in the bottom target. Here we go. All right, let me go gather up that target and we'll see how well these rifles did with this Eley semi-auto .22 long rifle Benchrest Outlaw. Okay, let me go grab those targets and we'll close out the video. Well, folks, in assessing these targets that I just shot, all 3 of these rifles using this Eley semi-auto Benchrest ammunition, I gotta say I'm quite impressed. I never thought these semi-automatic rifles would shoot this well. Here's the first target. Now just disregard the targets in this row. This is just where I was trying to get the guns leaded in and get them centered up. But the first 5-shot group right there was with the Remington Model 552. That is under a ½ an inch right there. All of them right in the middle of that bullseye right there. Very, very impressive. And then the next group, I shot 10 rounds because I didn't quite get that gun centered up. It was shooting low, and then I moved it up a little bit, and then I moved it off to the left, or I'm sorry, yeah, to the left, and I moved it too far, and then I got this bullet hole. So anyway, I moved it over. I'm not sure what's going on with that scope, and they were hitting low again. As you can see, they were all clustered in and around the bottom of that target. So I had to recenter the gun and move it up some, and we'll see the result in the next target. That was the Marlin Model 60. And then the Winchester Model 77 printed a pretty good group right there. That's about a ½ an inch or so at 50 yards for that first group. But I'll tell you what, that little Winchester turned out to be a real jewel, as you can see from this target right here. That was the last 5-shot group with that Winchester Model 77. One was just a little bit outside, and that could have been me, to be honest with you. These targets are so small, even through a scope down there at 50 yards, it's just really hard to keep them centered as you're squeezing the trigger, although that Model 77 has a very nice trigger. But there you can see that's 4 bullet holes all clustered around one hole right there, and then one just slightly outside of the group. That's well under a ½ an inch right there, well under. And going back to the Remington Model 552 Speedmaster, there's the next 5-shot group. I'm not sure why it shot lower. May have been because I was holding the gun a little bit differently, but still a very impressive group right there. Still under a ½ an inch. And then the Marlin Model 60 had one that fell a little bit low, but the rest of them clustered right in and around that bullseye. Well, folks, I know that that Marlin Model 60 will shoot better than that, because just a week ago I was out here testing that same ammunition with the same rifle at the same distance, and I got that group right there. That's 7 shots at 50 yards, all clustered into a hole the size of my fingernail, as you can see. That's outstanding accuracy, and you can get that level of accuracy with an old vintage 22, and that's one of the reasons I love them so much. You know, they were just built really well back in the day, and I just like the nostalgia that goes along. Doesn't matter if it's a Remington, a Marlin, a Winchester, a Mossberg, a Stevens, or a Savage, any of them. They're all dear to me because I just like old 22s, and I'm sure a lot of you folks out there do as well. So anyway, folks, I think I'll go ahead and close out the video. But if you have one of these old 22s, you know, give some of this new ammunition a try if you can. Whether it's made by Eley or Lapua or SK, if it's Czechoslovakian made or maybe in Italy or wherever, Germany, they have a very high standard of quality in Europe in making this target ammunition. And I think you'll be very impressed with the kind of groups that you'll get with your vintage 22. So with that being said, remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, shooting, hiking, no matter what your outdoor pursuit happens to be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. But also remember this: hit that like button, smash the old bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this one will be coming your way. So until next time, y'all take good care of yourselves, get out there and enjoy the outdoors, and remember, if you go shooting, have a lot of fun. Just make sure you do it safely. I'll see y'all next time.